What's up, guys? Excited to be back here this week. We are in week 4 already of college football. This is Matt Thornsberry with Big 12 Blitz, and I'm looking forward to some of the games that we got this week. Looking forward to speaking about last week's games, some good games. Unfortunately, the Mountaineers, not so much, especially to lose in the fashion that they lost. Rough way to go about it. But nonetheless, we are here and we are ready to get this show on the road. Just a quick announcement for you guys here. This show will be moving to Wednesdays. So next week I will start the shows on Wednesday at 7, only because we spoke about it and of course, I wasn't thinking about it beforehand, but we have games on Friday nights, and it kind of clashes. I understand that. So to be more convenient for us and the viewers, we're going to change it to Wednesdays at 7 o'clock. So keep that in mind. Moving forward from today, there'll be a 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesdays. Don't forget that. But without further ado, we are going to be moving forward. And before I move forward with last week's games, I just want to plead for you guys, please, just if you're watching and you're enjoying it, of course, everybody loves college football, especially Big 12 football. Just hit that like button down at the bottom for me. I greatly appreciate it. You guys are awesome. And hey, we're getting people in here watching. That's cool. I love it. So hit that like button down at the bottom. Let's get this show on the road. How about that? We're going to go if anybody in here is new, what we do is we go over last week's games. And of course, I'll set up. I've been doing 5 games each week, and I'll make my predictions on those 5 games, and then we'll go over them the week after. And so we're going to go ahead and go over last week's 5 Big 12 games, starting off with, I got this one wrong. So currently I'm actually 8-2 on my Big 12 picks. I got this one wrong last week. Surprised me. I'm not going to say surprise me because I did say that it could happen. But UNLV defeated Kansas at Kansas 23-20. Kansas, everyone's talking about it, right? Kansas's pass game is looking a little rough. Kansas, this is also a lot of people are talking about right now as well. Kansas and West Virginia are looking eerily similar to the start of the season. You got 2 quarterbacks who are, top tier quarterbacks in the Big 12. And I'm not saying that GG isn't playing good, but he's not playing up to what his standards should be. He's this past weekend, he started to make more plays on his feet. Garrett Green did. So for Jalen Daniels, I think he is kind of in the same boat as Garrett Green right now. He has to understand and realize that, last week against UNLV, he had down here at the bottom on the ticker, you got Jalen Daniels 12 of 24, 153 yards, 2 interceptions. I think he's kind of got away from his game just as well that Garrett Green did the same thing. They're kind of getting away from their strengths, and their strength are their legs. I don't understand where along the line that disconnect came, because if you are deadly with your feet in college, man, it wreaks havoc on other teams. And quarterbacks who are good at utilizing their strengths in college, they'll pick you apart. And of course, unfortunately, for us West Virginia fans, we have seen that. These quarterbacks have been eating our set. Not only have they been eating our secondary up, but they've been using their legs. And it's quarterbacks that aren't even known for their mobility, right? But hey, look what they're doing. They're making plays with their feet, and then it's opening up the field for them to make plays through the air. And if Garrett Green can just understand that, I keep talking about GG and we're on the Kansas game. If Jalen Daniels can understand that, I think that passing game will come back alive because their defense is playing pretty well. And that was something we spoke about when we were making our predictions for this week's game with West Virginia and Kansas, is that Kansas defense is playing pretty well. And so if Jalen Daniels in that offense, Neal is running the ball great. The problem comes in is, Jalen Daniels is turning the ball over a bit too much, and he's been a bit inaccurate. But if he can take that offense and they can get things going, Kansas will be right back in the mix. And, it's funny I say that because WVU is in the same boat, and that's why I said they are just so eerily similar right now. And it's kind of fitting that both teams would be meeting up to start Big 12 play. But kind of getting off track here, we had UNLV moving to 3-0. How about UNLV? That is a solid start for them to go into Kansas and get that win to move to 3-0 on the season. Big time, man. And I hate to say it, but moving kind of in the same lines that I was talking about last week. Last week's theme was pretenders or contenders. And unfortunately for the Jayhawks, you're looking at being pretenders right now. And I said the same thing about West Virginia, though. Matt said, go to the run. Exactly. Do what you got to the starting spot at WVU. You can't pass. Stay running. Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think Jalen Daniels has to get back to that. Hopefully, we'll see if he decides to get back to that this weekend in Morgantown. But anyways, Jalen Daniels, again, UNLV getting the win over Kansas, 23-20. Jalen Daniels, 153 yards, 12 of 24, 2 interceptions. Neal, 23 carries, 120 yards, staying right on track. And I expect him to do no less this week. Hopefully, West Virginia's run defense has been pretty good. So who knows? Moving forward, let's keep on going, get through these last week's games real quick. This one did surprise me. I did pick Kansas State to win, but I picked it in a closer game, and I thought it would be a bit more high scoring as well. But, man, give K-State credit where it's due. And right now, I'm going to say that K-State's defense came alive against Arizona. And good for them, because that's kind of what the discussion was last week is, will the team's defense show up, or is this going to be a barn burner? I thought that's what it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a shootout. I didn't think K-State's defense was going to show up like that. And, hey, they came alive, and they moved to 3-0 on the season, and they beat Arizona 31-7. Got to give it to K-State. That's an awesome outing, defensive showing. Johnson coming in 14-23, 156 yards, 2 touchdowns. And to add to that stat line, this was impressive. 17 carries for 117 yards. Pretty solid performance there for Johnson. Matt said, K-State didn't impress me. Arizona looks like Kansas and WVU. Yeah, unfortunately for Arizona, they're kind of sitting in the same boat almost as Kansas and West Virginia. But, for their side of the story, they are 2-0 or 2-1. So at least they have a winning record. But anyways, Johnson performing well in a big game, big time game. And he wasn't looking that great the first 2 games, but hey, give it to him. He come out and not only got 156 yards through the air, and 2 touchdowns, but came out and got 110 yards on the ground, utilizing his feet. We were just talking about that. If you can, as a quarterback, if you have a strength of running the ball, man, you got to use it to your advantage. And Johnson showing exactly why that works. So moving along, Colorado getting the win over Colorado State. I'm not going to say that this was surprising. I did expect it to be a little bit closer. It was close last year, and I was kind of basing my prediction off of last year. So, oh well. I mean, I picked Colorado to win, so it is what it is. I just expected it to be a little bit closer. But the reason I want to talk about Colorado, Matt said LOL at Colorado. The reason, yeah, that's a good pick. Matt said he picked Colorado. I went over my bookie. No, that's a good pick. I knew they would. I felt confident they would beat Colorado State. But the reason I want to talk about this one real quick is because Shedeur Sanders passed the ball 49 times. That's a lot. That is a lot. I mean, you're looking at NFL numbers right there, and that's just like almost passing every single down. 36 of 49, 310 yards, 4 touchdowns for Shedeur Sanders. Man, that's a solid game. And if you watch that game and you've seen the post game, or just the players going out on the field to shake hands and all that good stuff, he was talking smack to the Colorado State quarterback. Colorado State quarterback went for a handshake, and Sanders just kind of ignored it. So, hey, man, it's Colorado State. I said it last week. They like to talk their talk. And I guess a win is a win. So, I just wanted to go over this one real quick because he put up good numbers, and it was one of the ones that I added in my prediction. So, Colorado getting the win over Colorado State, 28-9. Matt said he is classless. He is a little bit. I will agree with that. Moving forward, this was a really good game. Anybody who caught this game, hey, fantastic game. I got a ton of stats here that's going to go across the bottom for you on the ticker. UCF getting the win. I took UCF over TCU, and sure enough, they pulled it out by 1 point, 35-34. They moved to 3-0 on the season. They're performing really well. You got to give it to Gus Malzahn. He's got his teams playing really good, and to get that win early on over TCU. Matt said, I watched them all. LOL. UCF. Yeah. My lock of the week had me sitting on pins and needles. It was a good pick. I don't think many people were picking UCF to beat TCU, but it goes back to a couple weeks ago when I said they were kind of a sleeper to be at the top of the Big 12 conference this year. And I don't think many people were talking about that, to be honest with you. But I said it before, I'll say it again. Gus Malzahn, you almost can't bet against him. I think eventually he's going to get what he wants, and he's going to get the team that he wants, and he's going to be running the type of games that he wants to run. And he's got UCF winning. And like I said, that's a big time win early on in Big 12 play. So yeah, UCF moves to 3-0 on the season, undefeated. Good for them. Jefferson, 13-22, 230 yards, 3 touchdowns. Harvey with 29 carries, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Hudson with 6 receptions, 145 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then you look over on TCU side, you got Hoover going. He passed the ball for 52 times. 52 times. Man, him and Sanders on par. Similar games. 35 of 52, 402 yards, 4 touchdowns. Beck with 9 receptions, 200 yards, and a touchdown. Man, give it to UCF and Gus Malzahn. UCF QB impressed. Yeah, no doubt. He played he did just what he was supposed to do. Solid game. I mean, 13-22, 230 yards and 3 touchdowns. You can't ask for much more. But I mean, Harvey taking the workload, 29 carries for 180 yards. That's solid. Matt said he was supposed to be the UCF weak link. Well, he's showing that, maybe that's not the case. Look out for Jefferson. Look out for UCF. One of the sleepers to be at the top of the Big 12. Look out for him. UCF getting the win over TCU, 35-34. Moving forward. Unfortunately, I hate to talk about it. Have to. Whatever. West Virginia losing at Pittsburgh, 38-34. Pittsburgh moves to 3-0 on the season. West Virginia dropping to 1-2. You're up 10 points with 4 minutes to go. You got to win that game. And that's been the talk of the week. That's been the talk from Neil Brown and the staff. It's just a complete breakdown for West Virginia. And we knew that could happen. Their secondary problems, they sure were exposed at the end of that game, unfortunately. Garrett Green, 16-30, 210 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. C.J. Donaldson, 19 carries, 79 yards, and 1 touchdown. The thing with Garrett, as I was saying at the beginning of the show, is at the end of the game, he did not look right. I don't know. I want to believe that he can handle the end of big-time games because you want him to, right? I mean, he's everything that you want in a West Virginia quarterback. I think he encompasses the persona of West Virginia so well. And that's why he's so loved by so many fans, right? But at the end of that game, he did not look like somebody who could handle it. He threw 4 straight downs. He threw ducks. And one of them was to grass, and the other 3 were straight into defenders' hands. So, question mark there. I don't know what was going on. I don't know what was running through his mind. If he was nervous, I don't know. All I know is that West Virginia drops it to Pittsburgh, and I don't want to talk about it anymore. So we're going to move on to this week's games. I'm excited to talk about these. Of course, it's Big 12 play. Whenever you got Big 12 play, it's going to be some good football. Anybody can beat anyone in the Big 12. That's what's so great about it. And if you're joining the show, I just ask for you real quick again, hit that like button for me. I greatly appreciate it. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you for jumping in here and listening and talking. We're talking Big 12 football every week. And if you enjoy the content, just hit that like button down at the bottom. All right, let's move forward to this week's games. This week's games. What do we got here? First game. There's no Big 12 games tonight, so that's good. All of them are tomorrow. The first one we're going to talk about is Kansas State at BYU. Kansas State at BYU. Now, this is undefeated 3-0 at undefeated 3-0. Obviously, the difference is it's number 13, Kansas State, at unranked, undefeated BYU. Now, I wanted to talk about this mainly because BYU is better than most people think they are. I don't think we're looking at a BYU team from a year ago. I think you're looking at a much improved BYU team. I think that they are going to give K-State all they can handle, especially being at BYU. Anytime you play away in the Big 12, it's going to be a tough game. And unfortunately for K-State, they're going to be on the opposing end of that. They're going to have to try to go into BYU and get a win here. Matt said, I got BYU covering. They're calling for BYU to win. BYU is not bad. For a 4th-string running back due to injuries playing, but strange things happen. Yeah, strange things do happen. Now, the line is BetUS has K-State by 6.5. The over-under is 49.5. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm pretty confident in BYU. You say that they have BYU, they're calling for BYU to win, and I can see that happening. And, in the Big 12, again, everyone beats everyone. It seems like when we have a clear top half and a clear bottom half, strange things happen, like Matt said. Strange things happen, and a bottom half team will beat a top half team. It just it happens every time. And, of course, this isn't a bottom half and top half. I'm just giving an example. wholeheartedly believe that BYU has the tools to beat K-State. Now, we'll see if the same defense that showed up against Arizona for Kansas State will show up against BYU. And, for K-State's, for them, they hope that the same defense shows up. It's just tough to go away in the Big 12 and win. That's all I'm saying. And don't be surprised if BYU comes out of there with a W. I think it's very possible, and I think it might happen. Stay tuned to my predictions at the end because, hey, I'm 8-2. I'm 8-2 on the season. Matt said BYU defense versus K-State quarterback. Yes, young quarterback again, but everyone knows, everyone's been high on him. And he just had a great game, like we were just talking about. He just had a great game. But now, as we start to move on and we start playing more Big 12 games, we're going to see what he's made of. And I think right now this is going to be a good test for him. That Arizona game was at home. He's about to go into BYU territory, and we'll see if he can handle the same lights. BYU is playing inspired because of their coach on hot seat. I think they're playing inspired because of a number of reasons. They were kind of I won't say laughing stock of the Big 12 last year, but they weren't great. And I think a lot of people expected them to be a little bit better. Tulane is the type of team as BYU to me. Really? Interesting. I'm always weary of BYU. When we played them a few years ago, it was a really close game. What was it? It was like 38-35, I believe. And before that game, I was nervous because BYU is one of those teams who every few years they have a pretty daggone good team. Tulane and BYU have top-notch defense. Yes, yeah. They have a pretty good team every few years. And, yeah, their defense is usually what's carrying the team. But now that year, we played BYU last year. No, we did crush them last year. I'm talking about a few years ago when we might have opened up with them, I believe. Or I can't remember. But it was a really good game, really close game. And, yeah, BYU's defense usually is carrying BYU. And, hey, yep, in the Giant Stadium. Yeah. It's a really good game. But, yeah, so K-State at BYU, going to be a really good game. It's going to be at 10:30 tomorrow. So if you can stay up to watch it, definitely do. I think it's going to be a fantastic game. I don't know if I'll be up to watch it. I might be passed out at the time. But it's going to be tomorrow, 10:30 Eastern Standard Time on ESPN. Tune in to watch that. Again, BetUS has the line at K-State 6.5. Over-under is 49.5. Let's move on and move forward. Next game. This is an interesting one. Baylor, 2-1 Baylor at 2-1 Colorado. It's an interesting one. I don't know how I feel about this one yet. Kind of like last week with a few games. I'm still a toss-up on what my prediction will be for this game. It's tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Eastern Standard Time on Fox. BetUS has Colorado by 1.5, and the over-under is 51.5. Matt says this will be a good game. Winner goes to a bowl game. I think that's fair. I think that's definitely a fair comment because in my head, they're very similar in where they're sitting right now. Of course, I don't think they have the same team. I think Colorado has the better offense. But Baylor always has pretty good defense. So I just don't know if Baylor can keep up with Colorado's offense. We'll see how well Baylor's defense plays. And that's what ultimately it will come down to, is if Baylor's defense decides to show up. And, hey, they might. I know against Utah now, of course, Utah's quarterback went out. So Baylor was able to stay in it. But Timothy Green, let's go Mountaineers, beat Kansas this weekend, y'all. We can still win the Big 12 championship, believe it or not. Yeah, Timothy, I mean, there is a lot had to be done for West Virginia to turn it around. But there is a lot of time to do that. There is still the entire Big 12 schedule ahead of them. So it's very possible that that could happen. I appreciate you commenting. Goodness gracious. I appreciate you commenting, Timothy. If you don't mind, throw me a like down there. But yeah, if Baylor's defense decides to show up, this could be a closer game. But Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter could go in this game and absolutely eat up Baylor. I don't know yet. I'm still, like I said, I'm still a toss-up on this one. And so is BetUS. They got Colorado at 1.5 right now. So I don't know. What Colorado has going for them is that it's at Colorado. So obviously that works in their favor. So that might be the kicker for me. That might be the tipping point for me to decide on who I want to pick to win. So yeah, Baylor, we'll see what Shedeur Sanders has in this Big 12 matchup. We'll see what he's made of. It's at home though. I'm kind of curious how they're going to fare in the away games in the Big 12. That's what I'm looking forward to. But this is a real good test for Colorado early in Big 12 play. It's a good test. Of course, Baylor isn't the same Baylor team from years ago, but they're still Baylor, still in the Big 12. They're still a team that can beat anyone. And so I'm excited to see if Colorado can get over this first hurdle early in Big 12 play. I say first hurdle, but you know what I mean. Yeah. Nonetheless, this game's going to be tomorrow at 8 o'clock on Fox if you want to watch it. Moving on. We got another newbie to the conference, Arizona State, 3-0 Arizona State, shall I say, at 2-1 Texas Tech. That game will be tomorrow at 3:30 on Fox Sports 1. Arizona State is interesting to me. I didn't expect them to be 3-0 to start the season. Texas Tech has fixed their problems, Matt said. He also said Baylor is probably better than them. Yeah, I don't know. I think Colorado's offense is better than Baylor's. As far as defense, yeah, Baylor's probably got the better defense. But is it good enough to keep Colorado off the board? I don't know. Because as much crap that I give Colorado, I give credit where it's due. They got a good offense. So to this game, Matt says Texas Tech has fixed their problems. I like Tech to beat Arizona State. Yeah. Well, my thing with Arizona State is, I mean, they were supposed to be bottom of the barrel team this year. And they have now got wins over, of course, Wyoming 48-7, but they got a win over Mississippi State 30-23, and then they barely beat Texas State 31-28. So, the win against Mississippi State, I was like, oh, wow, check out Arizona State. Nice. But then they turned around and they barely beat Texas State 31-28. So I don't know. It's kind of the same thing with West Virginia and Kansas. It's like, I don't know who they are. A couple of weeks ago, I guess my thumbnail was Proving Ground. And there's been a lot of question marks for several teams in the Big 12, and Arizona State is another one. So I don't really know who's going to show up for Arizona State. But yeah, back to Matt's point, he said Texas Tech has fixed the problems. I believe so. Again, you go back to last year, Oklahoma State. I come up with this example earlier. Oklahoma State had that terrible game to start the season last year. And then, hey, they went on a run and played amazing the rest of the year. So I think he said Toledo beat Mississippi State by 28. Yeah, I know, but it's still Mississippi State. I don't want to take that away from them. They're still an SEC team, so it's like, I don't want to take away from them, but they did get beat by Toledo by 28. So a lot of people were picking Texas State to make the playoff. That spread was only 1.5. Wow. I actually didn't know that. That's interesting. That's crazy. Good for Texas State. I know I'm getting a little bit off track here, but I kind of want to check that out. They beat Lamar. Yeah, but Texas State only beat Lamar 34-27. Then they beat UTSA 49-10. They lost Arizona State 31-20. They play Sam Houston next. So Matt said it gets wacky in that Carrier Dome at night. Yeah, you're right. So the line is they have Texas Tech at 3.5 right now, and the over-under is 58. If Texas Tech has fixed their problems, if Tech plays up to what they were supposed to have been playing with all along, I believe that Tech should. I'm not going to say. I was going to say run away with it, but I don't want to say that. But they should win it comfortably, I believe. Matt said take the over. Yeah, probably. Arizona State, 3-0 Arizona State at 2-1 Texas Tech. Tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time on Fox Sports 1. Texas Tech by 3.5 is the line right now from BetUS. I forgot to put BetUS on there. From BetUS. Actually, let me fix that real quick, just so we got it on there. We like to throw that up there. I believe I missed it on several here. Wow. What am I doing? There we go. Okay. All right. Moving on. Another big game. And I really I spoke about Utah at Baylor last week, and we're going to keep that going again this week. Number 12, 3-0 Utah at number 14, 3-0 Oklahoma State. Now there's a key point to this game. Real quick before I say that, this game is tomorrow at 4:00 Eastern Standard Time on Fox. And BetUS has Utah. They got Utah by 1. And the over-under is 53.5. Matt said it don't get any bigger for Big 12 purposes. Yes, I think, honestly, this is what you're looking at for the Big 12 title here. I think this is a precursor to the Big 12 title. Of course, this is who everyone was picking to be top of the conference anyways. So, but there's a key point here. Is Cam Rising going to play for Utah? Has that news come out yet? Because Matt said it's for the Big 12 title, in my opinion. Absolutely, yeah. That's what I was just saying. This is for all the marbles in the Big 12 here. That's a precursor to it. You don't walk into Stillwater and get a dub, OK State by 6, last-minute touchdown. You might be right, but I'm going to tell you something. You said he will play. Is that news? Because I haven't seen the news yet. I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be playing or not. But here's my point. If Cam Rising plays this game, Utah's winning. I have Utah winning if Cam Rising plays. Because if it ends up that way, if he plays, I think that Cam Rising outduels Bowman, who is the Oklahoma State quarterback. I believe Rising carries them to the win. I don't think Bowman. I don't want to be disrespectful. I believe that Cam Rising is the better quarterback, and I believe that he will carry his team to the victory if he plays. Now, if he doesn't play, Oklahoma State's going to take it. Matt said, I don't think even Rising can beat OK State at home. Yeah, the Cowboys are tough to beat at home. Everyone in the Big 12 knows that, right? It is very hard to go in to Oklahoma State and win. Matt says, hey, Alan Bowman is playing decent. No. I'm not taking anything away from Bowman. And that's what I was saying. He's been playing fantastic this year. And he's definitely got the ability to lift them to the W tomorrow over Utah, for sure. Absolutely. Hey, I hope the way I was saying it wasn't making it sound that way. I didn't want it to. Bowman absolutely has the skill set to carry the Cowboys to the victory tomorrow. My point is I think Cam Rising is just a little bit better, and I think if he's playing, I think that offense is cooking, and I believe that will carry Utah to the victory tomorrow. That's just what I believe. Man, bet US with that. They got Utah with 1, and then honestly, I believe I would take the over on this game. I do believe it's going to be a little bit higher than that. We'll see, though. We'll see. Both teams have decent defense. Utah was 23-12 at Baylor, and I mean their defense played really well against Baylor. But Oklahoma State's defense is a little bit rocky. They can be good, but they can also give up some points. So I believe that might be the difference in the game. Yeah, Matt said, okay, State secondary suspect. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If Oklahoma State secondary, again, if Cam Rising plays, that Oklahoma State secondary is probably going to give up a good chunk of yardage. And I believe that Utah will get out of there with a win. We'll see. We shall see. It's going to be a fantastic game. And that one's at 4 o'clock, so you better be up and watching that one. You don't want to miss it. It's undefeated 3-0, number 12, Utah, at 3-0, undefeated 3-0, number 14, Oklahoma State Cowboys. Tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Fox. D. Wayne says Texas Tech going to whip those Sun Devils on the booty. Yeah, D. Wayne, I think you're right. I don't think it's going to be an absolute spanking, but I do believe that they're going to win comfortably. I do. If they fix their problems, like Matt said, and I do think they're getting things pretty much figured out at Texas Tech. So, all right, let's keep it moving. Let's go forward. That's number 12, Utah, at number Oklahoma State tomorrow at 4 o'clock. It's a good one. Last but not least, we are going to go over Kansas at West Virginia. If you've noticed, I've kind of cut the show a little bit shorter this weekend. I'm trying to condense it a little more. I don't want it to be too long because, I don't want you guys to get bored and be like, all right, he's just talking, which I am just talking, but I want you guys to stay in here with me, and talk with me about these games. That's why I'm going over all of them. I want to see what your guys' insight is to it, what your input is, how you think this week's going to go, your feelings about last week. That's why we're doing this, so we can all kind of interact about Big 12 football. Last game that I'm going to be speaking about is 1-2 Kansas at 1-2 West Virginia tomorrow at noon on ESPN. I was talking about it earlier at the beginning of the show. This is just a weird game to me for Jayhawks fans as well. For Jayhawks and Mountaineer fans, I mean, we're kind of in the same boat this week, and we don't know who's going to win. If you went and asked a Jayhawk fan right now who's going to win the game this week, they probably say us. And if you went and asked Mountaineer fans who's going to win the game this week, they're probably going to say the Jayhawks. It's just a weird situation. And it's such a dichotomy. If you go and read my prediction that was put out, I say the same thing. This is such a dichotomy, a true dichotomy, because the West Virginia defense is so suspect, but their rush defense is actually performing pretty well. And the Jayhawks offense right now, their passing game from Jalen Daniels, as I was saying earlier, is not good. And they might try to run the ball a little more, but they can't really rely on it as heavily as they have because the Mountaineers' rush defense has been pretty good. So we're in a crossroads kind of, because the secondary of West Virginia has made these quarterbacks look like NFL-ready quarterbacks. So will it be another repeat tomorrow? Will Jalen Daniels will he get his feet back under him and be made like an NFL-ready quarterback? I don't know. D. Wayne said Kansas is still Kansas. What do you mean? I'm interested in what you're saying. Oh, you're saying Kansas is still Kansas from years ago, from like 3 years ago, because you said WVU by 21. Wow. I mean, you could be right, but we still have to look at the Kansas defense. The Kansas defense is still playing and performing pretty good. And, that isn't an opinion. Everybody knows that Kansas still has a pretty good defense. The problems lie in Jalen Daniels and the offense. Jalen Daniels is just not playing. I said it at the beginning of the show. Him and Garrett Green are in the same boat right now, is that they're both mobile quarterbacks. They're both mobile quarterbacks who need to use their feet to open up the field to throw the ball. But so far up till this point in the season, going into week 4, neither of those quarterbacks have been playing to their strengths and using their feet to open up the field as much as they should be, in my opinion. And Jalen Daniels has been, inaccurate and has thrown several interceptions that could have been avoided. So I'm curious to see how Jalen Daniels competes tomorrow. As the same thing with Garrett Green. How will he answer last week's game, how it ended? Man, you're going to see a game tomorrow of both teams trying to prove to their fans and to the country that they are a much different team than what has been shown the first 3 weeks. D. Wayne said Kansas has FCS level depth. They just got lucky last year. Their starters are fine, but they can't compete because of depth. That's a solid point, Wayne. That's a solid point. Although I'll say it again. Their offense, they have a really, really good offense. They just haven't been playing well. Well, I don't want to say they. Jalen Daniels just hasn't been playing that well. And he's been their weak link on the offense, unfortunately. And their defense, again, is playing pretty well. So, again, you're going to be looking at 2 teams tomorrow that's looking to prove themselves. You're looking at 2 teams that are coming in and ready to they're ready to put up points. And the defense, man, it's just, I'll say it again, it's such a dichotomy. Defense for Kansas is playing well. West Virginia's defense is terrible. Their passing defense. The rushing defense is pretty good. But on the other side, again, Kansas offense isn't that great, and their defense is pretty good. I just don't know what to think about this game, to be honest with you guys. I don't know. Now, I'll of course, at the end here, I'll go about my predictions, and I'll tell you what I believe. I have 2 things going on about this game, what my head thinks and what my gut wants to go with. And I just picked one. Nonetheless, BetUS has West Virginia at 1.5 right now. The over-under is 56.5. This game is tomorrow at noon Eastern Standard Time on ESPN2 if you want to check it out. Should be a really good game. I'm definitely – I don't think that anyone's going to be disappointed if they want to catch a good game and they watch this game. I believe it's going to be a fantastic contest, Big 12 contest. We're opening up Big 12 play here. And I'm excited. I'm excited for this one. I love when two teams are trying to prove themselves. They're trying to turn the corner and fix some problems. And I think you get much better games out of that because, You have players that have their backs up against the wall, and you're looking at them like, all right, who are you going to be? Goes back to last week's theme of, are you a pretender or are you guys contenders for the Big 12 title? And D. Wayne says that Kansas, they're pretenders. Hey, you might be right, man. You might be right. West Virginia might be pretenders, but nonetheless, it all goes down tomorrow at noon, and we'll see what both teams are about. So moving on, here we go. I'm going to go in. I'm adding a new segment into this show at the end of the show. I've done this the last couple of weeks. I've given my predictions on the games that I just went over. But now I'm actually going to put it up on the screen, and we are going to go. We're going to give it its own segment, my predictions. We're going to call it Matt's Big 12 predictions. Simple and sweet, short and sweet, whatever you want to call it. And right now, if you take a look at the ticker at the bottom, I'm 8-2 on picks. First week, I went 5-0. Well, I won't say first week, second week, week 2, because that's when the show started. I went 5-0 on my picks. Last week, I went 3-2. I dropped the UNLV and Kansas game and the West Virginia and Pitt game. Just honestly, I didn't see it coming. I kind of figured that UNLV was going to give Kansas a good game, but also I made the prediction in the middle of the game and Kansas was winning. So I believed that Kansas was going to hold on and win. That was the only thing there, and they didn't. So it is what it is. Nonetheless, again, we're going to do Matt's Big 12 predictions. I'm 8-2 currently, following along with it. So we're going to do this here. First game is K-State. I'm just going to run right back through the games I just spoke about. That's what I do. I pick 5 games, I talk about them, and then I predict them at the end of the show. So first game is 3-0, number 13, 3-0 K-State at undefeated 3-0 BYU. This is going to be a really good game, and it's kind of tough to pick this one. Again, BetUS has the line at K-State 6.5. Man, it's a tough one. Nonetheless, I think what I'm going to do is it's going to be a good game, guys. It's at BYU. But that Kansas State defense looked really good against Arizona last weekend. So my gut tells me to take K-State in a good game. I believe it's going to be a fantastic game. I'm going to take K-State tomorrow at BYU, and I'm going to say, I'm going to say 27-21 K-State. That's my prediction. 27-21 K-State over BYU. Keep it rolling. Keep it rolling. Next one, Baylor at Colorado. 2-1 Baylor at 2-1 Colorado. This one is another tough one, but this is my deciding factor on this one is I believe that Colorado has the offense to beat Baylor. Baylor's got a pretty decent defense, but I don't think their offense is good enough to keep up with Colorado. So I am going with Colorado, and I'm going to say 24-17 Colorado. That's pick 2. Moving on. Arizona State, undefeated, 3-0 Arizona State at 2-1 Texas Tech. They got Texas Tech at 3.5, over-unders 58. I do believe that Texas Tech has figured some things out. I don't believe Arizona State is that great. They have started the season 3-0, but I don't think they have anything for Texas Tech. I'm going to say Texas Tech 42-27. Texas Tech 42-27. Moving on. That's 3. Number 4, undefeated. This is a tough one. Undefeated 3-0, number 12, Utah at undefeated 3-0, number 14, Oklahoma State at Oklahoma State. I said it while I was speaking about this game earlier. There's a key factor here. I don't know if he's playing. I'm pretty sure he is, but Cam Rising, if Cam Rising plays, I do believe Utah gets the victory at Oklahoma State. And again, this is a precursor to the Big 12 title, I believe. This is your two top teams in the Big 12. And I'll tell you what, I'll give two comments. D. Wayne said, I think OK State is going to pound Utah. I saw on Twitter the Utah fans are impressed with OK State's stadium. Their stadium is really nice. I've actually heard from several people within the media when I wrote for the Associated Press. I heard from several people that Oklahoma State stadium is fantastic. Utah has no idea how passionate we are. WVU, OK State, Tech, best stadiums. Yeah, I think they are definitely in for I think they're definitely in for a surprise to see how well that the Big 12 packs their stadiums and how loud they get, for sure. But here's my key point, is that if Cam Rising plays, I believe Utah beats Oklahoma State in a close one, very close one. BetUS has Utah by 1, over-unders 53.5. Yeah, if Cam Rising plays, I'm going to go with Utah. I'm going to say 30 to 24 Utah if Cam Rising plays. If Cam Rising doesn't play, I got Oklahoma State. Let me think for a second. I'm going to say 34-17 if Cam Rising doesn't play. So there's two there. Cam Rising plays 30 to 24? 30 to 24 if Cam Rising plays, and if he doesn't, 34-17 Oklahoma State. There's number 4. Number 5, 1-2 Kansas at 1-2 West Virginia. Now, again, in my prediction, if you go back and read my prediction on this game, I'm very torn on this one. My gut tells me to take Kansas because of West Virginia's secondary problems, and I believe that. And my gut believes that Jalen Daniels will figure it out against that secondary of West Virginia. I mean, it's at this point, it feels inevitable, right? But my head wants me to believe that West Virginia's offense will carry the home field advantage and win the game, because it's hard to go into Morgantown and win when it's a packed stadium. There's a lot of pissed off fans for West Virginia right now, and I just don't know how many people are going to show up. I don't know. If it's a pretty packed stadium, it's going to be tough for Kansas to win. And I went with my head on this one. I didn't go with my gut, and I said that West Virginia will pull this game out by the skin of their teeth. Let me go back real quick. Yeah, I said that West Virginia would pull this one out by the skin of their teeth. What's funny is I believe that Jalen Daniels will figure it out because of the secondary issues with West Virginia. But if he figures it out, you're looking at a West Virginia team that's, pissed off and wanting to win as well and get their ship selling, right? So I believe you're going to be looking at a really good game on both sides of the ball. But I believe that being a home game, and I think that West Virginia has the edge on the offense. And, of course, I don't know. Man, I keep wanting to change my pick, but I'm just going to stick with it. I got West Virginia winning 34-31 over Kansas. That's it. So we'll see how I fare. We'll see how it goes. I'm not so sure about that one. It's a bit iffy. I would never. I used to want to bet on West Virginia games, but I can't do it anymore. I I never know what's going to step on the field. And I know that Kansas Jayhawk fans are feeling the same way right now. So there's my predictions. There's the show. I appreciate you guys coming on here. Again, check me out on X at mthornsberry. If you're in here, go ahead and smash that like button as well if you enjoy the show. Next week, I said this at the beginning of the show, we are moving the show to Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesdays. So after this week, Wednesdays at 7 o'clock. This has been Matt Thornsberry on Matt's Big 12 Blitz on Kuz's Corner. Thank you guys for showing up. I really appreciate you guys all hopping in here and listening to me ramble about Big 12 football. I love football. I love college football. I'm so passionate about it. I mean, writing for the Associated Press for 7 years on college sports. How could you not be passionate about it? So thank you guys for hopping in here. I hope to see you guys next week on Wednesday at 7 o'clock. D. Wayne said, have a good evening. Enjoy tomorrow. You have a good evening as well, Wayne. Enjoy tomorrow. Take in all the games. Watch some fantastic games. And we'll see you again on Wednesday. God bless you guys. Thank you again.